So I'm over here on California Avenue. This is the last strip of street that Miguel wants to turn into Cesar Chavez Boulevard. It's a very ancient street. It used to be connected to the old Golden State Highway. But you can see, look at the disrepair. Look at the weeds coming up in the sidewalks. Look at the dry weeds off to the side. And he wants to turn us into Cesar Chavez Avenidas, but yet he does not want to fix and repair all this street potholes. Look at the damage done. And we have these ancient lampposts that are just amazing, you guys. This one's missing the globe at the top. I can't even guess what year that is. I'd have to guess and say 1940-ish maybe. I think it's pre-1950s, and they've, of course, tried to strip everything out of it. I'm sure it's non-operable. But he'd rather put the money into changing the name of it than actually fixing and repairing the streets and roads. Okay, now, I'm not going to blame Miguel too much on this because we have allowed this, okay? We allowed him to get into office. And the reason is because of apathy. The streets are just a mess, potholes everywhere. Apathy. Let's talk about apathy. 35% are even showing up to vote. You don't vote, you're not going to get people like that out of office. And now he's trying to run for county supervisor and destroy even more of your history and your culture. And you're allowing it, okay? Him and his buddy, Gary Bredefield. Yeah, they recently just voted together to award a private developer cash-in $2.7 million of your money for a water challenge he ran into on a private development that he already got $10 million on. It's all politics. They rub his nuts, he rubs theirs. Gary's gotten $25,000 from them for that no-kill shelter. He's gotten to have little press conferences and other little to-dos at the river park. Look at these weeds. It's going to go up in fire, I'm telling you. And his chief of staff, Miss Nicole, used to work for Cash and Development as an executive assistant. Okay, I'm not a conspiratory theorist, but maybe those Bible thumpers on the far right and the crazies on the far left, maybe they should start looking at these people for what they are, a bunch of liars. They're all the same. Okay, Gary was my friend. He's my councilman. He's not the councilman of those crazies that come in from Kingsburg, Bible thumping at Fresno Unified, and they had to put metal detectors in. This is who they stir up because they give the right taglines. Freedom, democracy, tyranny, we have to stop it, tyrannical behavior, socialism. Beautiful lamppost. You name it, selling it to them. You know, hey, Gary's pretty slick, you know, he's a PhD in behavioral science. He knows how to talk to certain people and get them stirred up. Just as his friend Terrence Patrick Sladek did. And he's a salesman. He was a salesman for Abbott Laboratories. He knows how to sell something. So, I'm a hero. I was in the Marines. Okay, somebody should explain to me how you're fighting for my freedom 7,000 miles away in Afghanistan with all the heroin Turkic drug lords. Maybe I could understand it better if they could explain that, but they can't. They just really like to look like a hero, and they're not. So, Gary's been shooting his mouth off a lot lately, how he's going to save us all from the Avenidas, Cesar Chavez Avenidas. And I can tell you, Gary's not going to be able to do anything. He gets involved with that, trying to take over the narrative from salt of the earth people from Fresno. Gary's not from Fresno. Gary is a Jew from New York City, or upstate New York, I'm sorry. And he's not even a Christian, but he knows how to talk to the Bible-thumping Christians and get them stirred up. So this street runs off to the side from the old Fresno Arch. You see why this is significant? See, folks? Now you're talking about a man that wants to change the name of the street but he's done absolutely nothing to fix it. And these poor people are driving and their cars are being all bumped up from the bumps and potholes and the disrepair of these beautiful antique lampposts. Okay? I want to have a lot more information for you guys, but I can tell you this is really bad politics. It's identity politics. It's snuffing out the culture of others. Black friends over here that have been brought up in West Fresno, they consider this like the gateway into West Fresno. And we butted up with them over here on F Street, where I was just at, where the Vartanian home is, where our first church was on F Street that burned down in 1900. And then we started building more east of here, Ventura and M Street, that he wants to change too. So this is all being done very methodological. They're very crafty, but if you think there's any difference between Miguel to the far left and someone who's so far right like Gary Bredefeld, you're wrong. It took me a while to figure it out because I was actually friends with Gary. He's my city councilman, not the city councilman of some of those other people that come in and cause problems at meetings and had to put metal detectors in. Gets him stirred up. He knows the language to use. But it's all talk. He also has been saying how the county is full of corruption. Really? Oh, and the city's not? Well, we know the city is. But if you have some kind of proof about the county, why don't you bring it forward? Okay? The city is full of corruption. Like when you voted with your buddy Miguel to illegally turn our historical resources in Armenian town into affordable housing. And you didn't even have the audacity to answer my phone calls or my messages when I asked you, hey Gary, did you not understand what that was all about? And then now he backpedals and says, well, the city attorney said it was okay. We didn't have a city attorney back then, because it was between Doug Sloan leaving and making a hasty retreat from the city and going to the city of Santa Monica, and they hadn't hired Jance yet. Okay? So that's bullshit. And then the only city attorney that was involved there's a staff of, I don't know, about 35 of them, 30 of them, is one that signed off the illegal first right of refusal of George Bursick, who owned 2 of those homes. So the law is very clear. I've made it clear to you guys. When you seize property from people under eminent domain and you use it, you have to use it for a specific purpose. When you don't, they have first right of refusal. So his paperwork was signed by somebody, something Martinez from the city attorney's office, but that doesn't mean that the transaction was legal. So Gary's full of it. And again, he's trying to backpedal that, in Gary's world, he makes no mistakes. It's always the other guy making the mistakes. He's extremely self-righteous. That whole group is very self-righteous, indignant, and smug. And the money behind him is equally indignant, self-righteous, and smug. One of them is somebody who is a pseudo-Armenian who worked for a radio station as a commentator, but basically was kind of helped out the door. So he's kind of the one in the background with the money. And they had tried to shake me up earlier for Terry Sladek to get some money donated to their Save Our Schools fund, and I wasn't going to play it. I said, I don't need to give you money. And Terry, we don't need you. You're from upstate New York too. You need us. So he was trying to get the Armenians to give him money in exchange for getting the Faulkner name removed, the name of a rabid racist that we were trying to teach a lesson about. And then his little Gladio armies come in, thumping the Bible, little white people from Kingsburg and the gutters of Sunnyside and Clovis, people not even from here, trying to talk about our history, and they don't even know about it. One of them from Maryland, who has an alcoholic problem, later on ran for Fresno Unified School District Board. That Terry had hand-selected these nuts. Didn't even know anybody. I kind of introduced him to her and another candidate. But these people are a mess, and they proposed to take it from bad to worse with their philosophy. So this is a sham, you guys. You're gonna put up with this shit? Don't. It's all a bunch of bullshit. Okay, it took me a while to figure it out, but luckily I did beforehand, and I'm not gonna be playing this far right or the far left game. I'm not. And in Gary's world, the one that talks the loudest is the one that supposedly is doing all the work. He also claims that he was the one trying to keep our schools open and our businesses open. It was a group of people doing that, and a lot of elected officials and a lot of community leaders. Not just Gary. Gary was the loudest, but he certainly wasn't the most effective. Okay? And then you even had two county supervisors that marched with us to the county public health office demanding the data to show why independent restaurants were more dangerous than a big restaurant chain, or a store. A small store was more dangerous than a large store. They went after their own entity and weren't afraid. So Gary forgets all that. Gary forgets he was not the only one. Gary wants you to think he's the only one fighting for you. And that simply is untrue. Okay? Gary does like to play to the far right Bible thumpers. He thumps the Bible and all that. Gary is Jewish, for God's sakes. He's from upstate New York. He's a Yahudeh. And he also wants to be called the champion of Armenian rights. I'll have another video on that. Couldn't be further from the truth. He's made it very clear he didn't believe in our flag raising ceremony that we were the first to do back in 2007. Of course, it's gotten out of hand because now people are being rewarded for their sexual behaviors. Awarded a flag raising. Wow. And we were awarded back in 2007 that opportunity to be honored because we built this into the World Agricultural Capital of the world. We were the original merchants downtown Fresno. Hodge and Sons was the Chuhajian family. Sam's and Son was the Samoan family. And nice wheels! Careful of that pothole. Yeah. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on how we had to change our names, but our black brothers and sisters couldn't change their face color. But we had to change our names. Normart Furs was a Sinanian family. Nor in Armenian means new. Mart means man. So they became new men. They came to my grandfather and said, hey, maybe you should change your name. And he goes, F you. He flipped him off and said, no, my name is 3,000 years old. You change yours, you white people. Very nasty people back then. So they were also the ones that tried to get in our faces at the Fresno Unified School Board meeting and said, well, don't change Faulkner. Yeah. Dummy gets up there from Maryland, not even knowing the history of Fresno. Says maybe he wasn't a great guy, but maybe changing it is not the right answer. Really? Easy for you to say. Your family was indeed restricted, you numbnuts drunk. So anyway, they all fell on their faces, and unfortunately they're going to get used again. And they can't see beyond their nose because they're too smug, self-righteous, and indignant. And the other one there, the farmer over there in Kingsburg, oh yeah, really self-righteous. And he tries getting smart-ass with me, saying shit like, hey, Vanush, is that how you say pig in Armenian? That's the kind of shit these people try to pull. Yeah, so we're going to see who's the real pig here. The drunks, the alcoholics, the Bible thumpers. Yeah, they come into these meetings and quote the Bible. They bring this fake pastor by the name of Largent from Santa Ana. None of them are from around here. That's the funny part. Who I doubt even has a theology degree. And they're going to be doing a great American revival. Ooh, August 5th. At the Clovis Veterans Hall. Yeah, some of you lefters should go check it out. Anyway, this road is a mess. Be careful. Be careful of the pothole. There's a big pothole there, yeah. Yeah, this is the street that Miguel wants to turn into Cesar Chavez. He can't even fix it. I know. Hey, loco la cabeza.
Yeah.
Loco. Spent $1 million to change the name and you can't even fix the street?
This is Chalmers?
He wants to. He can't even fix the street. Yeah, he's loco. Loco la cabeza. These people over here are real salt of the earth. Best of luck to Miguel from Mendota by way of Mexico. I'm going to fight you, and I'm not going to shut up until we get a public integrity report filed. Well, it's already been filed, and charges are warranted against these people by the DA's office for breaking a lot of laws and ordinances, not notifying the people around here of the changes. No one knows. Not notifying the community, and not even engaging the people. Just saying this is what's going to happen, and that's it, so shut up, basically. So we'll see. I'm not going to give up without a fight and being loud. I owe that to my grandparents and my great-grandparents. Gary Bredefield has no stake in anything here. He's just trying to run for office and trying to grandstand, trying to take over press conferences from Pastor Binion and Pastor Lewis and the salt of the earth people, and trying to be the mouse that roared and upstage, grand stage, whatever you want to call it. But hopefully it's not going to work, because at the end of the day, he voted with Miguel to turn my historical resources illegally into affordable housing, and then didn't even have the guts to say why. When I asked him, God, Gary, what, did you not understand something? And this latest fiasco with the $2.7 million for his buddy Cashin, I don't know if that's going to work out so well for him. You know, destroying property, historical property, city of Fresno, the kings of it. They have destroyed millions of dollars worth of historical property in Fresno. And then the mouse that roared last week started making case about the cemetery on Hughes Avenue on the west side of it, which is the county, that has been inoperable probably for about 40 years, 30 years, that it was in disrepair. And then during COVID, the homeless overtook the graveyard. Yeah, and they were living in the graveyard. Okay. Say what you want, but that's going to get fixed. I look for results, not for someone with a big mouth from upstate New York that claims to be a Christian, and really they're a Yahudi. And what he thinks he's the savior of the Armenian people too. He's trying to plant himself as that. He is not. He's not our friend, and he's not welcome in Armenia. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.